All right, friends, today I hope is the day where this is almost 100% done. And there's only one reason why that might not happen, and I'll explain that right after this. Welcome back. If you haven't seen my videos before, I'm Rusty Oliver Man. The 200 Allis Chalmers that's been going on and on and on. I'm gonna keep finding stuff, and I've decided we're at the limit. I'm not, whatever happens now happens. We're gonna just move on. I've got this side pretty well where I'm happy with it. Got it cleaned up, kind of re-orangified some places back in there. That makes it look, I think, a little bit better than it did, because it was, half the paint was gone and it was a nasty mess. And so at least it looks orange now from a distance, and that's good. It's all clean. Nothing was leaking on this side, but we all know that'll change as soon as I walk away from it. I got these all wrapped up inside of something so that they're not rubbing on just directly what they are. So hopefully that'll keep those nice forever. We got our short hose made, or short hose, our other hose that goes to our cooler, and I got it put in there. So that should be good to go. The air tube, we'll have to bolt that up for keeps after the hood's on. What else is there to do? Well, got our new muffler, and the ting-ting's up there. We got to attach it to the top. I didn't do any of that yet. I just stuck it on here because this is going to have to come off to get the hood on. So we'll do that then. I sorted out his wires because he said stuff wasn't working. And I figured out the reason that his headlights weren't working is because of this fuse holder melted down. So I've got different fuse holders. We'll put one in and a new fuse, and that should solve that issue. Somehow in doing what I've done, the temperature gauge moved. So I think that it's fixed too, unless there's something that it's not keeping the accurate temperature, which I won't know until it runs for a good long while. So, but anyway, this should be a simple-ish fix. And maybe we ought to just do that first so that it's over with. I got some fuse holders, so that should be no problem. The other thing then, well, the thing that's going to hold me up where I can't say that it's 100% done today is those belts. I don't have the belts. They're in the mail. Agco. I don't know how long it's going to take, but they better get here. If nothing else, I might just put it together and say when they show up, I'll give them to you, and then you can do it yourself. It would be a lot easier to do it now with the hood off, but that may not happen. I got a new belt on the AC thing, but I got to get it tightened up if we end up leaving it like it is, you know. So this side, what to do? Well, I got a gasket for behind here, and I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. I debated whether I should, but it is oily down in there, and on the last one that seems to be what was going down. So it would be a good thing to just do that now, because I got the stuff. It's here, and it's really not that hard to get to. Let's double check that I got the stuff. Well, it should be laying in the cab. Yeah, there we go. Should be that feller there. So I'm gonna have to get me a filter wrench to take these off, and I got new filters, so that shouldn't be a problem. And he brought me the oil. I'm just running down a mental list of everything that needs done. And I think once that's done, we change the oil, then this side will be done. Then we would be ready for the hood to go back on. But I think before we do anything, why don't we just go ahead and fix this fuse holder so we don't forget, because I mean, yeah, we could do that with the hood on, but it's kind of easier now. I mean, you got more room. You can get your hand here, which you couldn't do if the hood was there. You'd have to work like this. So let me go grab one out of my stash of stuff. All right, so here's a new one. I somewhere just a minute ago brought the fuses. Must have already lost them. Oh, there they are. So we'll put a new fuse in. The problem that these fuse holders seem to have is that the piece here comes out of the lid, which is what happened there. But also it's like the spring inside goes bad, or it pushes the back side out or something. And then nothing will happen anymore. And that's what happened to this one. So, what to do? Well, basically you just got to keep replacing stuff. So, this one's connected. I don't remember, did I disconnect the battery? Yeah, I did. Okay. I got to go through the other way, so I'm getting excited and I can't do that. I'm gonna, let's get the, I don't remember, does that go, that might go that way actually. Oh, is it gonna be a cutesy thing where it doesn't fit? Why wouldn't it? It's the same exact thing as what's there. There we go. Okay. And there ain't no good way to, let's see here. Would it be that size? It's bigger than that. Just try to get in there and give it a little tightening somehow. It's plastic, so you can't go crazy. So basically, probably hand tight by me with that socket is going to be good enough. Because it can't really escape. The worst it could do is get loose. So that's our hot one now, so it needs to go in the center. Boys, you know, I don't, like I've said before, I hate to just spend people's money, or not spend people's money in this case, but I don't want to just redo things, but I might look and see if I have a another one of those good ends like I put on that has the plastic insulator, because this wire's hot when it's on, when the battery's connected, and if it would jump off under there and touch something, it would arc out and bad things would happen. Though while we're here you can see what's happened to his fuse holder. It's melted away and the plastic failed. So they don't make them like they used to, is the moral of the story. Oh, my stash of these wire ends is almost depleted. I need to get more because they are super handy. And that's what we need. Should be using my new tools from the viewer, but old habits are hard to break here, and I like my little snap-on deal. And since I'm not doing the colored insulator ones on this, I'll just use my snap-on one today. I should have probably heat shrinked it too, but it's fine. It's under the dash. The plastic will keep it insulated. Good enough. All right, now if all's well, when we try it after a while, those headlights should come back on, because they did the other day when I touched the two wires together, so that's fine. He said he thought he smelled smoke when he did it, but that could be, I'd like to, let's dissect here. Let's see what size fuse he's got in here, because he might have had way too much in there. I think he did. Good grief. I don't know what kind of fuse that was, but that looks like a lot. Like by the filament, it's broke off in there and I'll never get it out of there. But I would say he had way too much. So maybe the tractor does have a short somewhere and, you know, it's gonna blow his fuse right away. I don't know, but if you just look at that, I don't know if you can see on there or not. Can you see how the size of the filament? I'll turn it a little bit so you can see how narrow it is compared to this one. That is the entire section, or the entire diameter of the glass tube. So I'm saying that too heavy a fuse is probably not helping the situation. I mean, if it's blowing fuses, there's a reason, and you're gonna have to dive deeper. So I don't know, and you never know. Maybe something was rubbing here and it was arcing out, and that's why it was doing what it was doing. You know, if he smelled smoke, I don't know. These look like new wires. Maybe he went in and fixed something. Maybe it melted these wires. I don't know, but at any case, that's done. So now we're on to this. And it would probably be a lot handier for me if I had my little bucket to sit on, so I wasn't standing the whole time. So I'm gonna have to round that up as well. All right. I hope you can see. I never know. You're down to like 15% battery, so. I'm gonna have to get the correct tool before we put this back together, because using a giant channel lock on brand new filters probably ain't good. Here's a good reason why you should change your filters though quite often, because the top of the filter starts to rust, and really in the grand scheme of things the metal ain't that heavy. And what am I trying to say? Well, I've had filters that rusted through before, a fuel filter actually, and it started spraying fuel out. This metal is basically paper thin, so it would make a lot of sense to not do that thing, you know. Plus it was last changed in 2022, so I'm still all right. Several hours later, and I think this is ready to go back together. I'm probably pushing the envelope on the dryness of the paint, but it'll be fine. I just want this done. So it's better than it was. I mainly do that because like it was missing a bunch of paint and it looks horrible. So at least this way it looks kind of consistently the same color and kind of nice for a while. It probably won't hold up forever, but hey. So we're gonna hope that you can see where you are, because yeah, I don't know about stuff and things. I'm working my Knudsen off here to try to get this done, because it definitely has to be done before the first of the year. They're waiting on it. I'm waiting on it because I got a lot of stuff that I'd like to settle up before the end of the year that I need the money for. So I had my time to be sad and not myself, and now I need to just get over it and get on with life, because I can't be like that. Otherwise I'm gonna be in terrible shape if I don't keep bringing in income, you know. That's way too much, but sure. Sit to the side, Mr. Permatex. There's enough on this for both sides, I think. Grease the old gasket up there with the old Permatex. This gasket is slightly different than the way the other one was made, but it's doing all the right things. It's covering all the right holes, so there shouldn't be any issue. just need to get my fingers clean now so I can handle this thing. All right. We're coming along. Fear not. Sometimes it looks like failure, but it's not. We just got to remember what we're doing. Keep your eye on the prize. Yes, this is one of those projects that's been frustrating, but when you get the payment at the end, it's okay, because, yeah, you weren't doing this for your good health. So when you see the reward for your effort, I guess it makes it less hard to swallow. Probably harder to swallow for the people that get the bill, but I try to make it fair. I pretty well got this bill done, and I took off several hours of labor just because of the delay in time that it took, because a lot of that was my fault with personal problems. So in other words, I felt bad. I wanted to try to help them out. All right, those feel fairly even, which is good because that housing is aluminum. Now, let's do this while we're thinking about it. And this was actually very nicely, I should have filmed it, but the camera was dead. This is a good example of these rubber fittings. It was not super tight, but it doesn't have to be. Those rubber type fittings like this, compression fittings, you just need to turn them till they're tight enough that there's no leaking, you know. I want to say a little more than snug, you know. It needs to be tight, but not too tight, that's what I'm saying. In other words, you don't need to bottom this nut out on the fitting that we're screwing it onto, because it shouldn't have to be. That's like your last resort when it gets wore out and you tighten again. So I'm going to call that good, and we'll see when we run it, make sure it doesn't leak. I think I got all this cleaned up. I cleaned it all up when I painted it, because I did give it a coat of paint too. It was nasty. Because that's one of those things you could tell that when the tractor was painted, they didn't take this off. So that's why I got the block behind that. And that was great. And then kind of cleaned that up. I see another thing I should probably have fixed while I was here, but you can get to it without taking the hood off, and that is this hydraulic line from the hydraulic pump. I'm not exactly sold on this one, but we're just gonna have to, we gotta call it somewhere, you know. We can get that off later if we have to, and that might last another 10 years, but I don't know. If I was a little bit not as high on the bill right now, I would probably throw that in as something I fixed this time, because yeah. So he uses this fancy Schaefer's oil. So he brought it to me, and I don't know if you can see, but I'm just filling a filter. The thing about the Schaefer's oil, it's kind of green. And I've always heard that if you like when you take it out of the tractor, it's just as clean as the day you put it in. I don't know that that's true, but anyway. We're soaking in. Yeah, that looks pretty well like we're going to make a mess, so that's probably where we'll leave that one. baby doll? Now I've got oil and everything. I was trying to avoid that. Trying to make it look pretty. You know? The guy spends a ton of money working on something. Least you can do is have the filters look pretty, put the pretty side out. Guess not gonna work though. Not gonna work though to put the pretty side out on that one. I could have changed that nipple position probably and done it, but as long as they're clean, that's all I care about. Clean and on there. This is a step you wouldn't have to do, but it saves you a little bit of hassle later adding a bunch of oil, because if you didn't do this, you'd be essentially 2 quarts low, probably a little more by the time it soaked it up. So these are bigger filters too, so it probably is. Well, this is probably a gallon jug, and I'm going to be pretty well out. So that tells you how much you'd have to add. A lot of times your operator's books and stuff, service books, whatever, in the specifications page will give you a capacity with filters and the capacity without the filters, so you know what, you know, how much oil you would need overall versus just the filling the oil pan, you know. So well, they're both going to be consistently not the picture side, so that's fine. All right. So that is done. So now what we need to do is drain, 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 drain into a bucket, which means we need to get a bucket, which means, yeah. So we're on the way, friends. We're on the way. I'm going to shut you off a minute while I talk to the owner plus finish this up. So, all right, not to bring you back for no reason, but 2 things are evident. Number one, I just barely judged the capacity of this bucket correctly. It already had some stuff in it, and I think it's pretty well up to the brim. Number 2, the drain plug O-ring ain't no good. It's dry and brittle, and it's got a cut in it. So I'm going to try to hope to goodness that I have one that I can change it out. Otherwise, we're dead in the water until I can go to town tomorrow. But this should be a common thing, so I'll go get my assortment and see what I find. All right. Well, I think we're good to go. I think we are good to go. I'm probably going to, when we get this full of oil, we're going to just go ahead and wrap this video up for tonight. And we can make another one where we're putting the hood on and bringing her home, you know. Because I'm afraid, in addition to it being dark and not pleasant, I really just want to, I'm hoping that those belts come tomorrow. It would just be so much easier with the hood off, that you could see from all the directions. But I know that as soon as I put the hood back on, then they'll come. I thought that I was in luck because I had ordered a set for Dad for his 200, and I asked him, I said, have you got those belts that I bought for you? And he said, I think so. So he looked and got them and left them lay out for me, and I went and got them. And we must have already put them on because they were 2 used belts in the paper. So, or in the, you know what I'm saying? The little cardboard belt sleeve. So unfortunately, that didn't gain me nothing. Because in other words, what I would have done was use those new belts on this one and then give Dad the new set that came in, but it was not to be. Now this is going to be a hassle, isn't it? I was hoping that I could, well maybe I can do that. I was hoping I could empty one, so I didn't have two partial jugs, you know. Empty this little 1 gallon jug. And then, I mean, these are his jugs too, so I'm gonna just throw them in the cab there and hope for the best. Okay, I did that relatively painlessly. I should have put the brag down to start with. Should have also got a funnel, you know. I'm sure that it's going to take most of this jug, because most all of them hold 10 quarts, and 10 quarts is 2.5 gallons. So yeah, we're still like 3 quarts away, so I would say that just the whole jug. All right, well, that's all she wrote, so if it needs more, he's gonna have to provide that or bring it along with him when he comes to get this back. Let's double check, make sure this is all dry everywhere. Let's put this on so we don't forget it. See there too, that could probably stand to be replaced. That's kind of not that super tight, but that seems very likely. Full running, full stopped. We're just like a hair's width from the full stopped. So we are right where we need to be. They were nice enough to give you 2 marks. Now, of course, I did it again. We're about a little bit lower than we should be, but there might still be some running down in there. Anyway, we're good enough to run it, and then he can top it off however he would like to do. And I'm just, like I said, I'm debating, but I think I'm just going to call this video here. I mean, it's dark outside. I might as well get some sleep, and then maybe tomorrow Mr. Mail person, or probably the ex of Fed, is the one who brings a lot of the Agco parts. Perhaps they will bring our belts, because boy, wouldn't it be nice to just be able to work like this and things we can't do when the hood's on, you know. It just, yes, it can be done. I've done it many times, but it would just be nicer to do it when we could see everywhere and get to everywhere. Because if we do that, then we're done. I think the only thing left to do is those belts. Tighten that ting-ting up at the top so it doesn't slide all the way down like that. Put the hood on and the grill, and yeah, it's just a buttoning it up day where we just put all the stuff back on, and it should be fine. So I think we'll call this one here. Like I said, I'm not necessarily thrilled about leaving it unfinished again, but what I got to do should not take that long. It should just be a quickie, you know? You know about a quickie? Well, this is one of those times, because basically all we have left is sheet metal, belts and sheet metal. Put the belts on, hood on, grill, air cleaner pipe attached, this air tube back where it needs to be, muffler, ting-ting, the 2 little things on the corners of the cab hood, and then the 2 little window doors, which just hinge in there, no problem. So it's there. I mean, we're here. We got all the stuff. We got the wiring thing done. So I like where we're sitting tonight, because I know that for 100% fact, tomorrow it can be done either way. If the belts don't come, I'm putting the hood on, and that's the way she's gonna go. I'll put even if the belts don't come, I'm gonna call him and say it's done, and I'll have to just drive over and put the belts on one day over at his house. I mean, I'm fine with that. So, yeah, because it needs to happen. I mean, it's time to go back home. It's been long enough. We did a ton of favors for it, where I think it's going to be hopefully trouble-free for him for a good long while, you know. I'm debating on if I should like zip tie some of this stuff in or just let it hang. I guess it doesn't really matter, but I need to fix this. I noticed, not that that works or uses it, but that wire, I guess that's the ground wire. It pulled out of the little watch-a-me. So I'll have to investigate that, and that's no big deal. But yeah, I'm pumped. We're there. Oh, there is one thing I want to show you before we go. Everybody and his neighbor has commented on these vice grips. What are these vice grips? Why aren't you fixing that? Why is it whatever? All this is the brake lock thing. When you step on the brake pedals and then you flip that handle up, you know, I think you can, it's only the inside one. But okay, see, brake's locked, and then you flip it down, step on the brake once, just to release it, and that thing pops up, whatever. There's a cast handle that's supposed to be here, and I've never seen it on this tractor. Those vice grips have been on there for years. So who am I to shortchange him on that? You know, that's not my problem. I'm not, that can be fixed if he wants it sometime, but the vice grips work fine. And I say that because in that red grain truck we got, there's a pair of little like 4R or 5R vice grips that have been clamped on as the door opening handle for my entire life, and it worked just fine. So yeah, if you're willing to sacrifice a pair of vice grips, that is a solution. So yeah, we're just going to leave that alone, and I'm not going to worry about it because that's his thing and he's used to it. If he wants to change it, he can. He never mentioned anything about it. All we were supposed to do was stop the leaks, and I think we did as good a job as we could do without just totally replacing everything. It's getting close where we pretty well replaced almost everything, but we didn't. We had to find a stopping place, and I think that we did as good as we could. You know, we could keep going forever, but we're not going to, because like I said, the bill is high enough already that, yeah, we just don't need to do that. We can do that in another time, 5 years from now or whatever, or never. He can get somebody else. It's up to him. He might not want me back after this experience because it took so long, but everything I did needed to be done, and everything I did should, in theory, knock on wood if we had any, but it should last a while. It probably will fail tomorrow now that I said that, but you know what I'm saying. And just like this muffler, would it have been better for me to take this old muffler and waste half a day trying to get that welded up where it would stick and where it wasn't inside, because you couldn't weld it inside or it wouldn't slide down there the right way? And I've welded on stuff like this enough to know that once it's been heated as many times as this muffler, it will not weld correctly. It'll keep breaking. And so we could wrap up potentially an entire day just in this one little repair, trying to fix this little piece. And at the end of the day, what has he got? He's got a welded up rusty muffler that's getting thin in other places, and I think also had a hole here somewhere when I cleaned around on it. So is it worth doing something like that, or is it worth spending a couple $100 and putting a new muffler on it? Well, you see what I decided. You know, that's the eternal struggle. If you were doing it yourself and you didn't have to pay anybody to do it, you could make a different decision. But for me, when I'm working on it for others, sometimes it makes more sense to just buy a new piece and spend a little more than it would be for me to wrap up as much money as a new piece in fixing an old one. So that's where we are. And the only reason that I did not let that slide and just put the old one back on is because I can tell you from experience, it was missing it up here and exhaust was blowing in, and it will totally cover everything under the hood. When you have an exhaust leak under the hood like that, it seems like it attracts all kinds of stuff. Dirt flies up in there too, sticks to it, whatever. The oily, you know, as you started, it's unburnt fuel a little bit. That's flying out, stuff's everywhere. The black soot from everything, it makes a mess. And for me, if this is mine, I would have done just that, so that's what I did. Because why should we waste our time having made all this nice and not leaking? And then a month later, he says, it's all black under the hood and it's leaking and it's nasty. All because we saved a couple $100 on a muffler. Doesn't make sense to me. So much more sense in my mind to just bite the bullet, put a nice muffler on it, or he doesn't have to worry about it now. And that should last him another good bit. You know, if they put that, let's say they put that muffler on 9 years ago when they painted it, why, if it lasts 9 years again, I don't think that thing owes you anything. So yeah. So through the whole process, if you see something you didn't agree with, why, I guess you do it your way when you're working on yours. But there is some thought into why I do the things I do or make the decisions I make, you know. And it's also not the same for every single customer. Some customers are more apt to, they'd rather save a little money here and do something themselves when it fails. And other ones are, I want it to work every time I get into it and not have to turn a wrench on it myself. So you have to take that into account too. And then also, you know, like how easy is it to do later? Like these lines, I decided to replace them. They might have lasted another 10 years. I don't know, but they didn't look great and you have to take the hood off to get to them. So wouldn't it make sense to just go ahead and do it now and spend a few, whatever it costs, and then not worry about that again for a long time? And that's kind of where we are, you know. This isn't a restoration tractor, but it is going to be a daily use tractor because he feeds with it every day. So it needs to be just as reliable and trouble-free as your restored tractor in the shed, you know. So yeah, I tried. Maybe people don't like it, but that's what I did. And like I said, hopefully it works for him really good. So we'll leave this video here, and perhaps tomorrow those belts will come and I will make a video either way, whether they come or not. I'm going to make a video putting it back together. We'll put the hood on and we'll bring her home, wrap it up. We'll drive it around a little bit and get it, you know, test run. We might do that before we put the hood on just to make sure that there's not something that horrendously starts leaking, because that would really suck. So it'd probably make sense to give it a few laps around the yard, get it good and warm, and then put the hood on. So that's my thought process, and we're going to leave this one here. Do you suffer from low intelligence and are easily entertained? Well, then hit that thumbs up button and leave a comment. And that way we can keep making entertainment that your feeble minds can understand. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.